My name is Alina Thompson, and I am 32 years old. I live in Crystal Valley, a place where everyone knows each other's business, or at least that is how it feels. On the outside, I have always looked put together. I have a steady job, a nice apartment, and a circle of close friends. But on the inside, I had been steadily building a life with Anthony, the man I believed I was going to spend forever with. We had been together for 2 years, and in my mind, that was it. I had dreams of our engagement, our wedding, and a future filled with love and happiness. Just months before, we had even gone ring shopping, and it was one of the happiest days of my life. Both our families knew we were going to get engaged, and I felt like everything was falling into place. It was a dream come true. But then, everything crumbled in front of me like a poorly built house of cards. It all began to unravel in March, just weeks after my little jaunt ring shopping. I found out that the man I adored had been unfaithful in the most unimaginable ways. After I had believed we were building toward an engagement, he had a threesome with a married couple. Apparently, he had been in touch with the wife for a long time, even going so far as to have an emotional affair that had begun before Christmas. I felt the world tilt underneath my feet. I tried to make sense of it, telling myself that Anthony must have made a mistake, but my attempts to rationalize his betrayal were futile. It was not just the physical infidelity, it was the emotional devastation that really cut deep. As if my universe had not already shattered enough, he then started gaslighting me into believing that I was somehow at fault for his infidelity. He told me that I was the reason our relationship had collapsed, making me feel small and insignificant. I went to bed crying while he got ready for dates with other women, and I lost 13 pounds in that agonizing month of lies and confusion. It was my birthday when he finally broke the truth to me, saying that he was having a sexual affair. We were still living together at the time, and I had to confront a reality I never thought I would face. I was filled with despair, unraveling day by day. It was during one of those sleepless nights that I did the unthinkable. Fueled by sheer anger and desperation, I decided to take matters into my own hands. I grabbed his iPad and found out he had been texting at least 27 different women. While I stared at the screen, my heart sank with every notification that popped up. He was manipulating these women into believing he was single and that he wanted a future with them. My worst fears had been confirmed. He was telling one girl that he was in love with her and planning to move in with her after just 12 days. After coming to terms with this reality, I felt a fire ignite inside me. I took a deep breath and began to plot my revenge. If he thought he could treat me like this without repercussions, he was sorely mistaken. I started reaching out to others who had been affected by his deceit. There were 2 girls I found through an app called T who had similar experiences. I set up a meeting with them, and together we crafted a message, one that would ensure that every woman Anthony was leading on would hear the truth about his toxic behavior. As the days went by and the situation unfolded, I fully embraced my role as a woman scorned. While I was waiting for him to move out so I could unleash my carefully constructed plan, I compiled a detailed list of every woman he had contact with. I documented his daily activities, ensuring that he would not slip by unnoticed. On the day he finally moved out, it felt like the world shifted back into place for me. With my heart racing, I hit send on the messages to all 42 women I had uncovered. The wave of empowerment flooded over me. The response from the women was overwhelmingly supportive. They were grateful for the warning and thanked me for saving them from the kind of heartbreak I had endured. It was a strange yet beautiful moment. I then reached out to his friends and family, those who had become close to me over the 2 years we dated. I shared my side of the story, detailing his behavior, though I had no illusions that they would respond positively. They had their own ties to him, and saying goodbye to those connections stung, but the thought of him facing accountability was worth it. With time, I made my journey public by posting videos detailing my experience on social media. In those moments, I found liberation. The validation I received was shocking. So many people related to my story or stood by me. He must have noticed, as I saw he untagged himself from our pictures on Instagram, hoping to erase our past. As I put my heart and soul into these messages and videos, I discovered more about him and his secrets. I came across his plans for starting OnlyFans accounts and even learned that he was attending sex parties. It was baffling to think that I ever thought I knew him at all. Beneath his charming facade was a man who preyed on women's feelings and trust. For every toxic interaction he fostered, I felt a sense of purpose. I was holding him accountable. Every step was a reminder of how far I had come since that painful day where my life began to shatter. I would gather with the women I had reached out to, forming a little community of resilience built on understanding and shared experiences. My message gained traction online, and I used it to create a warning for the very women he would continue to contact. I felt empowered not just to heal, but to help others avoid falling into the same trap of heartbreak. He might have been charismatic, but I refused to let that charisma blind me again. By the end of it all, I had transformed from a woman scorned into a voice for the voiceless. I had been through the fire, but I emerged on the other side stronger. My normal now was different. I had learned bitter truths about love, trust, and vulnerability, but also about strength and reconciliation with myself. As I moved forward in life, I vowed to remain an advocate for other women and to never ignore red flags again. The repercussions of my actions were drastic, but watching him realize that he was no longer untouchable felt poetic. The darkness may have almost consumed me, but in lighting a torch for others to see, I found a new path to take. In the end, I understood that while betrayal is painful, it also has the power to ignite a fierce desire for truth and justice within us.